Welcome, welcome, welcome. Debz Cooper, Global Stressologist. Thank you for joining me today. It has been a while. It has been a while, and boy, oh boy, there are so many things happening in the background, but I'm just going to keep it down and stop my little chattering head because I'd love to share with you about the two versions we have. So the real me versus the version other people have created. Now, this is obviously not just about myself because I can assure you people do have a version of me that they've been heard about, and some have seen the old me from even a year ago, 2 years ago, or even 3 months ago. But I'm not the same person. I'm not the same person who that was. So just, here we go, here we go, here we go. Thank you for joining me. If you're here live, I would love to know if you're here live, or if you're on a replay, just hashtag replay would be super inspiring, and where you are in the world. I just love seeing where people are in the world, especially because I've just come back from Miami. Yep, Miami, which is a little bit hotter than where I am right now. But grab your note-taking device, whatever it is, pen, pencil, notes, computer, whatever, because we're going to crack on. But this is actually bigger than I thought. The more I started talking about people go, but I'm no longer that person, or people have this assumption of me. This is actually really bigger than what we thought. Hi, Deb. Welcome from Brisbane. Thank you. And I'm sure you know moments when you've actually lost yourself. And when we think about this, you've lost yourself, or you even get misunderstood. And I think about this as performing, and it's about when we're performing to be someone else. And that's a really icky place to be. So think about this as losing yourself if you're trying to be somebody else. Losing yourself if you're trying to be somebody else. Yeah, you can feel that and know that one. So these are my tips for you. I want you to spot when you've been living somebody else's version of you. I'd love you to spot where you've been living someone else's version of you. And doesn't that sound so interesting, even just thinking about it? So I'd love you to notice when you say yes, but you actually mean no. Yes, I'll do that. Yes, yes, yes. But actually you really want to say no, or even mean no. Your body will always tell you the truth. Your body will always tell you, because if you say a yes, 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 and you mean it, just even practice starting doing that. Yes, 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 yes. Maybe a little bit slower. But when you say no, it's actually a real tenseness within yourself. You can feel that. So start practicing saying yes to things and start practicing saying no. And you'll start to notice, and you'll pull yourself in, and you'll feel your body tense or relax. Tense or relax, because your body doesn't lie to you. Now, your mind, you can swipe left, swipe right, anything like that. But your body actually will tell you the truth. So just notice when there's a yes or a no, what's going on. And when you're going to do this, you're actually going to track your changes. You're going to track these and make yourself, with these decisions, whether you're going to be out of fear or obligation, or because you truly want to do it. Is it fear or obligation? Again, your body is intuitively going to tell you. Your body's intuitively going to tell you, yeah, this is a yes, this is a no. This is a fear, this is an obligation. Oh, here I have to go and do it again. Anytime those shoulders slump, you can feel that as a no. Oh, don't know, it's draining, the old head back in the seat. So start having a look at those, and you'll just be able to track those choices that you make. So there's a great question you can ask, and that is, would I do this? What would I do? Would I do this if I had no one else's opinion? Would I do this if I had no one else's opinion? Pretty simple. Would I do this if no one else had an opinion on my choice? Yeah, just even think about that. The next tip I'm going to give you is about how to connect with your core identity. And your core identity is literally who you are now. Who you were last night before you went to bed is a different person to who you are now. Yesterday morning when you woke up, you're a different person to who you are now. You've had different food, you've had different scenarios going on around you. You're a different person. So when we're talking about how to connect with your core identity, just reflect on what energizes you and what drains you. Reflect on what energizes you and what drains you again. And you hear me often talk about my glitter time, and my glitter time is literally things that light me up. Drinking from my drink bottle, talking to certain people, sitting in the sun, unless it's too hot. What are those things? Walking out in the garden, even just getting on the couch, and we're just coming into winter here in New Zealand, and getting a little snuggly blanket. That's part of my glitter time. It's not just all turning up, showing up. These allow me to connect to my core identity, and it's about what truly matters to me. So even just write those down what actually truly matters to you, and do more of them, because this is how to connect to our core identity. And so you're going to reconnect with moments, from the past, your memories from the past, where you've actually felt most like yourself. So just think about that. What were the reconnect to the past is, what moments did you really feel most like yourself? And that just allows you to go, okay. Now, if you used to connect with yourself 6 months ago, you're no longer that person. But have a look at that and see if that's actually still something you really love to do. This is all about your life, your choices, you doing what's best for you. But for me, I know the stuff that really lights me up. And even just the little things, even putting on a lovely lipstick allows me to feel lit up. Or a perfume, or my favorite undies, or underpants. Shh, don't tell Mum I said that on camera. But any of those things, they're actually things that actually light me up. And they're part of my glitter time. They're part of my glitter time. So whatever it is for you, do more of that. Do more of that. The next tip I'd like to talk about is boundaries. And this is actually boundaries without guilt. So you're going to use clear articulation of your language. Like, that doesn't work for me. And the other thing is, when we say no, saying no actually protects your serenity, not their comfort. This is not about their comfort. This is about what's best for you. So, no, that doesn't work for me. Thank you for offering. You have no excuse, no nothing. So these boundaries, if they don't work for you, that's okay. That's you, not anyone else's. How they react is their stuff. So you want to start small, and I say start small, but you hear me often just say small is actually significant. But start small with one honest boundary builds confidence for you. One honest boundary builds confidence for you. And just, no, thank you. No, that doesn't work for me. Last week, feels like yonks ago, last week I was on my way on a plane to Miami, and there was a bit of a muck up with the seating. But anyway, this lady came and sat beside me, and she was cranky. Let's put it this way, cranky. And I was told there's going to be nobody there. So I felt my own crankiness come up, and she was cranky with not me at that stage, but she actually was quite cranky. She wasn't having a good day. And she said to me, so I asked the flight, I said, is this lady, I didn't say lovely lady, I said, is this lady going to be sitting here the whole flight? And he said, oh, yes, she is. Yes, she is. And I said, okay, thank you. And I turned around, I looked at my computer screen, and she interrupted me, and she says, what's your problem with me? And I was like, nothing. And she said, you've got a problem with me. Now, I did say nothing, and clearly there was a problem, but I just held that one in. And she says, what's your problem with me? And I just ignored it. And then I just put my headphones on. I thought, I'm not going to engage with you because you're already cranky with everybody. Anyway, she hit the buzzer, and the lady came down, and the flight attendant came down, and she said, I don't feel mentally safe next to this woman. Now, crikey, I did get a bit of a shock with that, because I thought, holy gamoly, I'd only said one thing and I didn't even direct it at her. And I was like, oh, if you're not feeling mentally safe next to me, wait till I really lash out, then you'll know. And there was a bit of ego going on. I can assure you there's a bit of ego going on. And the reason I'm sharing this is because there were certain things that worked for me and certain things that didn't. So I just want to give you this scenario. Anyway, she said, you have hurt my emotions for what you've said. And I was like, and then I just got my finger out a little bit, and I went, no. And you wasn't probably the nicest thing I could have said, or how I could have delivered it differently. I went, no, you chose to hurt your own emotions, which no one's ever said you've hurt my emotions. They usually say you've hurt my feelings, and I'm like, I understand that. But she said emotions, so I was like, yeah, you're wrong. I'd already had an assumption of her. And I said, no, you've chosen to hurt your own emotions from what I've said. Now, this thing here is not a great thing to come when you're having a discussion with someone. This little finger came out. And then the flight attendant said, "Oh, okay, we'll deal with this." Now, I just sat back very quietly, and she had a little cry. And the flight attendant said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I'm fine, I'm fine." And then the male flight attendant come along and actually said, "No, this is all that I said, me." And she knew then that this lady was going to be the problem, not me. So that was a little bit of easier, but I could have handled it differently. I could have handled it differently. Now, if I'd set those boundaries, it would have been a lot different, but I was definitely fired up because I had planned on doing what I was going to do. So you can imagine I was a little bit on edge. So do watch that finger when it comes out. Watch what you say and how you say it. But I definitely said, no, I did not choose to hurt her emotions. She chose to hurt her own emotions. When I said that, I didn't think of hurting her emotions. I just wanted to speak my voice. So the next tip I'm going to, from that little story to the next one, is I'm going to talk to you about how you verbalize or express what you truly are doing with confidence and a serenity. So when you speak, you want to speak your truth, but not from defense. Not from defense. And if you can speak from your heart, people hear it a lot differently than your ego. Now, my ego was definitely up, and I was cranky. I'm going to say on a scale of something, I was probably a 4 out of 10. I was pretty cranky with that, and I could have definitely have done things differently. If I'd spoken from the heart instead of my ego thinking, it would have changed a different story. I mean, when I think about it now, as it was, she did give the flight attendants a run around all flight. So I didn't need to do anything. I didn't need to show anything. I just let her be and do her stuff. But I could have handled it differently. So the key here is to actually own your story without needing approval. And I didn't seek the approval of the flight attendant. I didn't seek the approval of her. I just needed to seek my own approval. Afterwards, I reflected and went, could have done that a lot differently. Could have, should have, ought to have, because it's not my mannerism from that. So just when we think about that, speak from the heart instead of the ego thinking brain. And the other thing I came out of that is realizing I don't need to show you. So you don't need to show that you're a master. You know, the work or the actions actually shows without the words whether you're a master and you can control yourself with the environment and you can speak with confidence and calm. So just be aware of that. You don't have to prove to anyone, because as it actually was, she wasn't a very friendly to the flight attendants all the way through. So much so that when I needed to go to the toilet in the middle of the night, I asked them to come and just watch me move past her because I didn't want any conflict. And the flight attendants didn't want to deal with her. So already she had displayed her own stuff. So there was a level of empathy for her. There was a level of empathy for the flight attendants. There's a level of empathy of just having to deal with that whole situation. But when you're confident and calm, things flow and you don't have to go upstream to them. But not often, sometimes you get a lot of kickback. And so it's just reflecting back to yourself. So the key here is actually to breathe before reacting. Now, if I'd breathed before reacting, definitely we would have had a different scenario. So if you can breathe before reacting and remembering that calm and serenity is actually your power. Now, the last tip I'm going to give you is to let you know that I am here for you. I'm here for you when you're ready to start dealing with this, because I am no longer that person who used to go out at 19 and drink and party. I'm no longer that person. I am no longer that person that pokes the bear to the extreme of people. Well, I say that, but we all know just what happened on the plane. But I'm no longer that person. So remember, you are no longer the story that other people have created about you. You are just the person that is creating your own story. So I'm here to help you change that story within you and for those around you, if and when you're ready. I've been doing this for 19 years. I've been transforming lives around the world. Yep, that's that one. I've helped thousands and thousands of people. So there's nothing worse than just sitting in your own space. There's nothing worse than sitting in your own space with your own head and what's going on for it. So jump on a call with me. Let me clear this. Let me get you actually discovering what is the real you. Let's unlock that together. It's not as painful as what you think. And I can help that you transform the real you and move that out to the wider world. So that's me, a very condensed version today on the real me versus the version you've created for you. And if you want to know any other stories about what I do outside of here, you're welcome to message me, and I'd love to share this story with you about how I actually also speak from the heart and not just the chaotic head with the finger pointing. So that's me, Debz Cooper, Global Stressologist, signing off. Thank you very much for joining me today. I appreciate that. And I will see you next time on my video. And I'll put a message in there for you to book a time with me. Thank you, people. Bye.